real good friends of my mother.
Uh-huh.
We went over there one Sunday to visit them, and they lived just a little town, maybe 4 miles away. But Johnny Feller, the oldest boy, took George and I down into the mine
Oh.
to see what a mine was like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I would never work in a coal mine.
I agree. I would. That would. Oh.
Pitch black.
Oh.
The only thing I had was one of those
The headlamp.
carbide lamp.
Oh.
That was before they had the electricity,
Oh
the
God.
battery. But they had a big vein of coal down there, big vein of coal
Mm-hmm.
on their property, and they were selling their coal to Jameson because they got a pretty good price for it, you know. But Johnny would dig out about maybe 2 feet high on the bottom, you know, at the bottom of the vein. He'd dig all his coal out, and he'd go back maybe about the length, maybe the length of this front room and kitchen room, and it just all cleaned out, you know. He cleaned out all that coal, and then he'd put dynamite down in there, in that coal,
Mm-hmm.
drill a hole into the coal and put dynamite in there and blow it out, you know, explode the dynamite, and well, it would all come crushing down. That way he didn't have to dig it.
Wow.
See, he didn't have to dig every bit. It was just, it came crushing down, and all he had to do was shovel it into a cart and pull it out on the teeple,
Mm-hmm.
dump it in a truck. They sold it to Jameson. Jameson kept pretty busy, but Jameson was a crooked, rotten man. He kicked all those people out of their homes, which was sad. But my dad worked for them,
Mm-hmm.
for Jameson. He was building the tipples for Jameson when they opened up a new mine,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd build the tipple
What's a tipple?
where they run the car up, the coal car from the mine, bring it up, and run it out, and dump it down in a rail car.
Mm-hmm.
And when the strike was over, a lot of the miners went back to work for Jameson, and some others found different jobs. But they laid my dad off because he supported the miners
Mm-hmm.
during the strike. So Dad didn't care. He started building homes.
Uh-huh.
He built some big, beautiful homes. The home that he built for mother and the kids was all cement block.
Wow.
They weren't cinder block, they were cement block.
Mm-hmm.
And he built forms, and he and Mom would every night they would make blocks of cement. There's these cement blocks, you know, just like a cinder block.
Right.
About the same size. And he built that whole house out of
Wow.
cement blocks.
So it was a very sturdy house.
A 2-story house.
Wow.
2-story. Yeah.
How old were you when your dad died?
Big pardon?
How old were you when your dad died?
I was 5 years old.
Oh, you were only 5.
That September I turned 5, and he died in, I think it was October, a month later. No, wait, I take that back. Yes, he did. That was the truth. 5. Because when I was 4 years old, he bought me a tricycle, George and I a tricycle, when we were 4 years old. And we died a year later.
Mm.
He died that Christmas, and then the next October he died.
What did he die of?
He was building a house in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, for a family, and they had these old trucks, those old Model T trucks,
Mm-hmm.
and they had 3 pedals on the floor, forward, reverse, and I don't know what the other one was, but idle, I think. But the guy who was delivering the lumber from Poland Lumber Company. That was the name of the company, Poland Lumber. They had good lumber too. And they was delivering lumber up to where the Dad was building the house. Well, Dad was standing back behind the truck, and they delivered up, and the young kid who was driving the darn truck, he hit the reverse instead of the forward, and he ran over my dad. That's how he got killed. My brother Frank was there at the time. He was helping Dad.
Frank's your oldest, right? The oldest? Yeah.
They were all carpenters. The whole family turned out to be carpenters. And they all went into different trades. When the war started, they all went to get better jobs. I don't blame them. Joe worked at an ammunition plant out of Derby, Pennsylvania. I had two sisters that worked out there. And my one sister, Ann, she became a nurse. And the oldest one, he went to a company that made turbine wheels, which was quite a thing back then, a turbine wheel. And down at Jeanette, Pennsylvania. It was called the Elliott Company. It was a nice company. They were good to him. They treated him good. But when he was in high school, he liked to do drafting and mechanical drawing and stuff like that. So he got a good job down there at Elliott's, and they paid him well because he knew how to draw blueprints. And that's what they wanted, somebody who could draw a blueprint. So Frank was real good at that. And he stayed there when the war started, he stayed down there the whole time. Because nobody, everybody was busted, but when the war started, everybody could find a job anytime they wanted it. Because we had a lot of steel mills in Latrobe. There's Kennametal, there was American Locomotive, there was American Steel. There was about four steel factories in Latrobe alone. And everybody worked it there, except for my brother-in-laws, Mary and Ann's husbands. They worked at St. Vincent's Abbey. It's a Catholic college for priests, to become a priest. And they worked there all their lives. Hard-working people. We were kind of fortunate. Butch was we called him Butch. His name was Frank Marcenik, Polish guy. And he worked in the butcher shop with his dad. They were in charge of the butcher shop at St. Vincent. St. Vincent raised their own cattle and everything, and they'd butcher them for the abbey, to where the priests had food. And they had their own farms and everything. They had wheat fields, barley fields, corn fields, everything. Raised hogs and everything down there. It was quite a setup. It was like maintaining a big home. Because there was a lot of young priests up there. Even back then, I wondered to myself, what the hell are these men doing in here? Becoming a priest. I said, what are they going to do? I could never figure it out. But I always respected them. It was just not our line, not my line of work. I think I always had it in my feelings that God gave me the gift to work, and I'll work. And I'm proud I learned how to do a lot of things. I am. I'm not sorry I quit school. Hell no.
Well, you went to a different school. Your schooling is...
Well, I was doing real good until I had this one teacher in my senior year. I I had 1 year to go.
Mhm.
I had this one teacher, Miss Stewart. I'll never forget her. I pray for her because she should have never been a teacher.
Mhm.
But, she took care of the higher class students. The farm kids she didn't care about.
Mhm.
And there was farm girls and farm boys, you know, they all went to school, but she, you know, you come to school, you have to tromping through cow shit all day or horse shit before you came to take care of the cows and the horses, and you didn't have time to clean it all off your shoes, and you'd shake it off and go to school like that. And bib overalls, that's one thing she didn't like, Miss Stewart. She didn't like anybody with bib overalls. And everybody wore bib overalls.
Mhm.
She couldn't see it that way, Margot.
Mhm. Do you remember any good teachers?
Hmm?
Do you remember any good teachers?
Oh yes, my mechanical drawings. I remember all my shop teachers.
Mhm.
I knew all of those. I loved the math class. I enjoyed. Mr. Gould was his name, and I loved history. And Miss, she never did get married, but we always called her Mrs. Stewart, Mrs. What the heck was it? M. It started with an M.
Mhm.
Martha or Mrs. Market or something like that. But she was a good teacher. She wore a wig, and nobody knew it. Nobody knew about it till one day it fell off her head.
Oh.
And she had nothing but boys in the class. And they just ribbed the hell out of her from that day on. She finally got transferred to another school.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a shame. I felt sorry for her. I felt sorry for her. Because she was a nice lady, very nice lady.
Well, it's still like that today. We have some teachers that should not be teachers, but the majority of them are very good and should be teachers. But
Miss Stewart was a good teacher, but I thought to myself, what the hell is Shakespeare going to help me out on the farm? I was going to tell the cows, come here, Rosie, where art thou, my Rosie? You know, oh, that stuff just blew my mind. Talking to a cow, talking to a horse, where art thou, Romeo, my old Romeo? And she didn't care for me at all, because I couldn't just stand her, and my neighbors too, they couldn't stand her, but they stuck through it. Eddie Listening went all the way through with her. I wouldn't give it. I thought to myself, well, baloney.
did your mom say anything about you quitting school?
No, she was disappointed. I told her, I said, I'm not getting anything out of school. I said, I'm busting my butt going to school, getting the work done around the farm and everything. And George and I were the last one. George finished, my twin brother.
Mm-hmm.
He finished, I didn't, I quit. So, I think of all the kids, Frank and Ann and my sister, Sophia, all went through high school. Now, none of the rest of us ever finished high school. We started out, maybe went 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
and that was all. And my sister Peggy, her name was Margaret. She never did go to high school. Sally went, she finished. Ann became a nurse, and Frank finished. And he loved math too. But Joe, he maybe went 6 months. Mike, maybe a year. And Steve, maybe 2 years. And that was about the size of it. There was too much, we had too much work to do at home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my mother, I don't think she even went to high school. I don't know if she finished grade school.
Mm-hmm.
Because she got married awful young.
Now your mom was second generation, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Did you meet your grandparents?
Big pardon?
Did you meet your grandparents?
I met my mother's grandpa. He lived at Manessa, Pennsylvania, with Uncle John.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother had passed away, but I did meet my dad's mother one time. She come over from, Dad brought her over from Czechoslovakia for a visit. And she came out, and I met her one time. She was out at the house. And then my grandpa, Malik, he'd come out every summer and stay on the farm with us, which was nice because he loved that.
That's your mom's dad.
My mother's dad. And I knew him quite often. Every summer we'd see him. I was young then, small, you know. It was after my dad had died. And he'd come out from Uncle John's place. And he smoked Five Brothers cutty pipe tobacco. And he had a little machine that made cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
He asked George and I to help him. Well, we wanted to help him. That's the way it was. I guess he didn't ask us. He's probably glad we didn't do it, because we'd make those cigarettes so tight and packed you couldn't even smoke through them. You know, couldn't draw air through them.
Right.
That was pretty good. He was a good man. He enjoyed coming out. He'd come out there for about 2 months every summer.
Yeah.
Not do anything, maybe go out and bank up the potatoes or pick tomato worms out of the tomato bushes or stuff like that, you know. He was a lot of fun to be around. George and I really enjoyed him.
Mm-hmm.
We really did enjoy him.
Did you ever smoke?
Oh yeah, I smoked.
Did you?
I smoked corn still before our cigarettes came out.
Mm-hmm.
We'd take newspaper and wrap it up. It tastes like hell, and it choke you to death. All the kids smoke corn still.
Yeah.
It's just to be a big shot.
Sure.
Oh, whoop-de-doo, he's smoking. Smoke coming out, big deal.
Did you smoke in the service?
Oh yeah.
Everybody smoke in the service, pretty much?
Most of the men did smoke. There were maybe some that didn't, but I did. And
did you smoke Lucky Strikes?
Lucky Strike, Camels, Cools, what else?
Did you smoke the Chesterfields?
Chesterfield, oh yes. Ted Williams made a big commercial with Chesterfield. Ted Williams was a baseball player. And when he advertised Chesterfield, everybody smoked Chesterfield. Fun time on the farm, Margot.
Yeah, whole different world.
We had a, like I said, our garden, about, as big as backyard. Well, our outhouse was at one end of the garden. We had the old outhouse, and when George and I, we had to pull weeds in the garden all the time. And we'd pull the weeds out, and we'd try to take the stones. We'd take the stones and we'd pile them up on piles. We'd find pebbles of stones,
Mm-hmm.
And on our outhouse, we had it was a two-holer. If we seen it, it was the lock on the door. When it was straight up and down, it meant somebody was in there. And it was pulled sideways, nobody was in there. We always had to lock the door when it was empty, so that everybody would know that nobody was in there. When we'd see the door was somebody was in there, we always It was usually my two sisters, Peggy and Sally, Sophia and Margaret, yeah. And George and I, if we were pulling weeds, we'd get these rocks, and we'd sneak up behind the outhouse and just bombard it, you know, with the rocks. Sounded like a shotgun going off from the inside. And they'd come running out. They're bloomers. They didn't have panties back then. They had bloomers. You probably know what those were.
Yeah.
Bloomers down to their knees. They couldn't run it. We always wore bib overalls. So they couldn't run, and they come out screwing their bare ass, showing, you know, George and I laughing like hell. I'll never forget that. I said, more rosaries for Peggy and Sally. Oh, well, the funny part is, one time we seen a door was somebody was in there, you know. So we thought it was our sisters, and we were out reading it. We went up there with a bunch of rocks and bombarded it. My mother come running out. Oh, boy, you talk about something hitting the fan. I don't know how many rosaries we had to say for that. And extra chores to boot. When we had to say the rosary, we had to say it so that she could hear us. If we were outside doing something, we had to say it out loud. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, you know. And the neighbors could hear us. They'd say, I wonder what the Birchak twins did today, you know.
They knew.
Oh, we got into more darn mischief. I catch it from my brothers too when they got home. They found out about it. Fun times.
Yeah.
Real good fun times.